Hey guys, it's Zoa, and today I've got another review for you. And you know me, when I do a review, I like to use the object I'm reviewing for a month or two just to get a feel for it. So, what I've got today is the Vostok Komindirski. I've been wearing this watch for, give or take, 2 months, and it served me really well. It's a fairly inexpensive watch, and of pretty decent quality. So, without further ado, let's take a little bit of a closer look at this Russian-made wristwatch. So here we have the watch and its original packaging. Here's a closer look at the watch itself. Here in the middle it says Vostok, down here across the bottom, made in Russia. The back actually has this kind of ornate little emblem on it, and this says waterproof Russia, about the kind of stuff you would expect to see written on a wristwatch. But I love, for the price point of this, and I got mine for about 40 bucks. I love that for the price point. Look at how detailed these little emblems and stuff are. This is really quite nice for something at that price point. Now, Vostok may not ring a bell for Western viewers of this video, but this company is out of Russia, and for a while, Vostok made watches for the Russian military, so they kind of have a bit of a military heritage for these, and it shows. A lot of the designs that you can get for these watches will have military motifs. For example, you can get them with tanks, submarines, different designs of aircraft carriers, all kinds of military themes, different colors. There are a few different models. This one, as I said, is the Komindirski, which is what that says right there. And if you're curious, this says mechanical watch. But yeah, this guy has a bit of a heritage to it. You can actually go on eBay and find rather old Komindirskis that are worth a bit of money because they're from back in the 60s and 70s. And some even older watches that Vostok made that go all the way back to around World War II. So the company's been around for quite a while. They've been making watches for quite a while. And like I just said, one interesting thing about this watch is it is a mechanical. So it does have a little knob on the side, and you have to wind this. Now, the knob works different than a lot of people over here are going to get used to, because this is a screw-down crown. So as you can see, I got to unscrew it. And you'll hear it ratcheting. Put it over by the mic so you can hear it. That's unscrewed. Now, this actually has a nice ratchet action to wind it. You don't even have to take your fingers off. You can just do that and wind the watch. And if I want to set it, of course, you pull it out twice, and the second click is to set it. Now, one quirk about this watch, the knob, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it wiggles. And that might make some people think, oh, well, there's something wrong inside. There you go. You can kind of see it. It wiggles. That's on purpose. That's supposed to do that. That's part of the whole thing that Vostok did with this watch. The watch is water resistant to, I think, 50 meters. So that's also nice. If you jump in the shower and forget you have this on, or somebody shoves you in a pool, it's not going to ruin it. I've submerged this one a few times, and as you can see, it still ticks away like nothing doing. It keeps good time, too. It probably needs set, in my case, about once every week I have to turn it a minute back because it's just a little bit fast. There is an adjustment for that inside the watch, but personally I just didn't bother adjusting it. To me, just setting it back a minute every week is not that big a deal since I have to get up and wind it anyway. Now you might be asking yourself, why would you get a wind-up watch, especially when you've already got like a Fitbit that you wear? Well, the main reason for that is because I wanted something that didn't drain its battery every time I turned it on. I love my Fitbit, but every time I look at it, it drains the battery, and if you're somebody who has to check the time kind of frequently like I do, you'll end up being one of these guys that will get maybe 3 or 4 days out of a Fitbit instead of the week that it normally gives. So without having to turn the screen on all the time, I don't have to charge it only once a week. But, if I have to look at it, turn it on every time I look at it, well then, it's dead in a couple days. The other nice thing about being a wind-up watch is I don't need anything special to charge this, as much as you could say charging on a wind-up watch, basically I can just wind this up anywhere and it only takes a few seconds. I never have to worry about a battery dying. And the internals of these watches are supposed to be pretty much maintenance-free for 10 years. So this watch shouldn't need its first maintenance until 2028. That's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Vostok really puts a lot of faith in their hardware. And from what I've experienced with it so far, I could see it, lasting that long. I've had no problems at all. As far as wrist feel, it is a touch on the heavier side, but I kind of like that. Like if you're used to digital watches, this is going to feel a little bit bulky, but it's nice. It reminds me it's there. Also, this bezel is not for show. This bezel actually turns. It doesn't ratchet, but it turns. And there's enough resistance where you're not constantly knocking it around, but it's easy enough to turn that you can just, on a whim, set it for whatever. Like if I need a timer for 10 minutes, there I go. I actually use it a lot when I'm cooking, of all things. I'll set my thing. Like if I need 20 minutes, I'll turn the little red dot. I need to pick up whatever's in the oven in 20 minutes. There we go. Or I can also use it to time, set the time there, and now I see how many minutes it's been. But really handy. I use that all the time. I know most people probably wouldn't think about using a rotating bezel, but for me it's become something on a watch where that's a deal breaker for me if I can't get one with a rotating bezel. The strap is made of decent quality leather. It's you can see that's after 2 months. It's got a little bit of a notch there on it, but my only complaint with this is I wish it was a little longer because I have fairly big wrists. And this watch just barely fits. Like if I've got it clasped, well, the easiest thing to do would just be to put it on. So bear with me for a moment. I'm just putting it on my wrist so you can actually see this. There. Now if you have large wrists like I do, you can see how that's all that's going to be left, So if you've got big wrists, you might want to get a second or another band for this, because the band that comes with it is okay for people up to, a medium, large wrist. But if you're like me and you've got very large wrists, then it's not quite going to be enough. So you might want to get another band. But, that's pretty secondary, really. Getting another band is not a big deal. One other thing is, because these come out of Russia, it did take me about a month to get this. You can get expedited shipping that'll make it happen faster, but it's still, it's going to be pretty pricey because it's coming from Russia. Shipping something quickly, it's going to be expensive. So I just went ahead and got the regular shipping, and it took about a month. The packaging is very sparse. That's one of the reasons I haven't really opened this up. There's not really a whole lot inside of it. Like I said, on front it says Komindirski mechanical watch. Same thing on this side. And over here it says made in Russia. Inside, it's upside down. It does come with a little plastic thing to protect the lens. Which, by the way, the lens is not glass. It is a kind of polycarbonate. But it's very tough. I've had this, like I said, for a couple of months now, and I'm not the most delicate person, so I tend to bang around my wrists and stuff. And as you can see, there's not a single scratch on this thing. It's held up really well. The body is, I believe, brass. It's copper-plated, but it is brass, except for the back, which is stainless steel. You can actually see a bit of the color difference. And yeah, it's a little dirty, but like I said, it has been on my wrist for 2 months. So, there's that. But back to the packaging. It just came in a very sparse packaging. This is just a little paper box. And this is just a little foldy thing. Inside, you do have a small instruction booklet. which is written entirely in Russian. So if you can read Russian, then this might be for you. But if you can't read Russian, then it's probably not going to do a whole lot of good. However, I can say this much. It is a pretty basic watch. So you don't really need too much as far as written instructions go to use it. So that's not that big a deal. Just put that back in there. Little plastic thingy. Slide that back in there. There. Komindirski. Setting the date on this thing, the day, you can wind it back to 9 o'clock and forward to 12 o'clock and it will shift the day. So that's pretty handy. So you don't have to sit there and go all the way around 24 hours. A fairly advanced feature on a watch that's designed in the 60s. And that's one other thing about this. This watch's design has not changed very much in about the last 50 years. It was designed in the 60s and has pretty much stayed the same. So that's part of the reason why I think I have such nostalgia for this watch. It's a lot like watches were when I was growing up. When I was younger, watches were all wind-up-y and stuff. And between the quality and the fact that this thing just hits a lot of my nostalgia bells, or buttons, bells, buttons, whatever you want. If I want to have nostalgia bells, I'm going to have nostalgia bells, damn it. But joking aside, between the nostalgia and the good looks and the reasonably good build and the price, you'd be really hard-pressed, I think, to find something like this elsewhere that's going to be this good. Like, if you look at other watches in this price range, like the Timex Expedition, it feels really cheap compared with this watch. I actually, when I went to buy this, I looked at a couple of different options over here, and just in case anybody's watching this who doesn't know yet, I am in America, in the United States, and I looked at a couple of other watches, and I found like the Timex Expedition and a couple of cheap Casios, and none of them really held up to this thing as far as just quality and having a feel about it that, like, this thing feels like it's going to be around a while. Those watches didn't. And I've actually seen some other videos where people are talking about things like the Timex Expedition and things like the little knob falling off the side so you can't set it. And, it's battery operated, which is great. You don't have to wind it, but I mean, if you can't set it, it's kind of useless. This thing, though, like I said, I get the feeling this is going to be around a long time. This may be around longer than I am. So we'll see. Anyway, that's about it for the closer look. If you've got any questions about this thing, feel free to let me know, and I will answer them in the comments. Also, I'm going to put a link in the comments to the eBay store where I picked up mine. The person who I got mine through seems pretty reliable, and I bought 2 of these through him, and both of them have been great. There's been no manufacturing defects. He mentions that he checks the watches before he sends them out, so make sure they're in good shape. And if you're just looking for a good basic wristwatch with the nice added feature of the rotating bezel, and you don't mind a wind-up watch, which in my case I actually kind of prefer. Is it going to be as pinpoint accurate? Like, if you're one of those people that has to have a pinpoint accurate watch, or you just don't want to be bothered to wind a watch every day, then this isn't for you. But if that doesn't bother you, this is a great quality watch, and definitely worth the money and the wait to get a hold of. But that said, that's about it for the closer look. So that's the Vostok Komindirski. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one in the hopefully not too distant future. Peace.